to the blue sofa. Today, I'm going to take you on my own journey, and we're going to share this moment together and actually diving into a story of burnout, failure, heartbreak, but also amazing transformation. So I want to share with you how I went from chasing success, feeling absolutely frustrated and actually burning out, to finding alignment. And also I want to share how a life-changing wake-up call reshaped everything within me, and how that taught me how to lean into my intuition, and how that became a breakthrough in my business, and actually was one of the main things that helped me to grow my business to multiple six figures and do it in a way that feels really great for me. So my story is all about turning challenges, multiple challenges, and some of them really hard, into gold. And how that process actually helps you as a person to step into your own power and into your own creative force, and create your own path of success the way that's meant for you. So this is actually how you finally get ahead, and how you finally get started doing business in a way and creating success in a way that's aligned with you. So at the end of this episode, you're going to feel grounded, empowered, but definitely also ready to go out and take on the world and do your thing, not because of anything or anybody else, but because you want to, and because you feel that heart's desire inside of you, want to get out into the world and contribute. So do grab a cozy spot somewhere, a cup of coffee, tea, whatever you fancy, and settle in, because we're going to dive into a very powerful and soulful conversation. So I remember when I had my second child. At that time, I was only 25 years old. So me and my husband, we actually met when I was only 21 and he was 23. And it's a quite beautiful story, because we just came out of two not so great relationships with a lot of heartbreak in, and we kind of found each other. And I remember the first time he took my hand, I felt this electricity just go through us, and I was like, this is it, this is him. Like I just know it in some way I can't explain. So it went really fast with the two of us. We had the two kids. Yeah, we met when I was 21, and when I was 25, we had two kids. At that time, I was also just finishing university. I have a master in leadership and strategy, and a business master. And I had a job, like actually a really great job. I had a career, and I wanted that career. I wanted to contribute. I was super ambitious. But at the same time, I felt stuck. And I felt something inside of me was stirring. Because at one hand, I had these two kids that I really wanted to be with. And I understood in some capacity, even though I was young at that time, that it was quite important for me to be there and help them and raise them in a way where, because they are, our kids are the one who's going to shape tomorrow, right? And I kind of felt that even though I was young. So I had this pull of, wanting to be home, but also this very ambitious side, chasing success, wanting to climb to the top of my industry at this time, in my job, corporate job. I worked in finance, and mainly male dominated area with, I worked with business finance. So a lot of male domination in that area. And it was okay with me. I was fine with it. But the thing is, I kept on feeling this pull, either I go part-time and I quit my career, or I quit my family, I had this, and I think if you're a mom, you totally understand this push and pull going on all the time. And it was, honestly, it was so hard because I'm a very purpose-driven person, and I really wanted to do something with my life. I really wanted to take this vessel of me and do something with it, like utilize my full capacity of potential, right? That was kind of what I wanted. And still that's my main driver in my life and business. So I remember at that time feeling very frustrated, and I started to, Facebook it was early phases of Facebook, right? So I remember being on Facebook and seeing no other than Marie Forleo, and I was like, what is this? What is this woman? Like, she's doing business, but she's doing it online, meaning that she has freedom to work from wherever she wanted. And that kind of sparked something in me. At that time, we just bought a house, we had 2 kids, we were just like climbing the ladders in the corporate world. So money was kind of sparse, But I invested $2,000 in Marie Forleo's course, and I was stunned. I was like, this is it. I need to be online. It was like a puzzle clicking. Do you know that, where you're like, oh, this is what I have been waiting for. This makes sense. This is what I actually want. This is the path for me. So at the same time, I was juggling my job, being a mom, being a house owner, being a wife, having like major identity crisis going on at the same time, and still not really feeling, adult enough to take care of all of this. So at some point, I started to visit a therapist, and it's like acupressure therapy. I'm not sure if we have this kind of therapy other places than in Denmark, because I'm from Denmark, right? But anyways, I started visiting her, and I got some therapy, some body therapy. And then I started to feel myself, and I started to feel how meaningless it actually felt to keep on being in this corporate job and keep on having this pressure of my heart wanted to be with my kids, but my ambitions wanted to be at work, and how it was more and more difficult, to be honest. At some point, I remember I talked to my mom, and I was sitting in my home office. We didn't work from home at that point, that was not a thing. But we had a home office where we had like a table and a computer, and I was sitting there talking to my mom, and I just felt like everything was just too much. I felt so overwhelmed. I felt so much pressure inside of me, and I was just crying and saying to her, it was all too much. I can't handle it all, and I don't know what to do. And she was like, of course, supporting me and telling me that everything was going to be all right, and maybe I just needed a little break, or I needed to like stop being so invested in my career. And at that point, I was like, I can't just give up on my career. But at the same time, I also realized I want to go somewhere else. I want to create this online business. So I talked to my husband, and I remember that conversation because he could feel that I wasn't feeling well. He could see it in me, and he wanted to support me. But at the same time, he was like, "How are we gonna make money? How are we gonna make this work?" And he never said those words, to be honest, but he was just like, you know what, I'm going to support you. I can see that you don't feel well, and we need you to feel well. So he was like, okay, quit your job and start building this business. And I was so scared I don't know, did you ever take a leap where it was like, you take one step, you take one step towards the goal, and then you take 2 steps back because you're so scared. So I was so scared. I was not ready to commit, to be honest. So instead of starting to building my business, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to university. I'm going to study a master degree in the psychology of change. I'm going to do it part-time. So I still feel I develop myself. I still feel there's time to build my business, and I still have time for my kids. The thing is, and I'm sure you have heard these stories many times, that when you are really stressed, when you are really, really under a lot of pressure, I mean, the pressure I was under was inside of me. I can see that now. At that time, I just struggled so much. I couldn't see that. But when I look back, I'm 40 now, so it's kind of 15 years ago, right? When I look back, I can see this was a potential. I needed to step into a new level of potential, and I needed to shred some layers and transform some of my more, I want to say distorted energy, because I had a lot of victim energy going on. I was not ready to step into my own energy. And I'm so, I really understand that. And I have so much empathy for that part of me, but it was how it was, nobody did something to me. It was my own reactions. I needed to grow into that. But when you have been under a lot of pressure, and then suddenly you remove yourself from the situation and you completely collapse. So that's basically what happened. I completely collapsed. I went into full-blown burnout. I had to be in my bed for more or less a year. My digestion was completely destroyed. I thought I was allergic to gluten, milk, everything. But what it was just me being under a lot of pressure without actually doing the transformational work at the same time. And my body paid the price. So I was sick for a year. And then at that point, I made a decision. I'm going to heal myself from this burnout. And nobody else is going to do it because they can't. This is my journey. My husband's not going to do it. My mom and dad's not going to do it. My friends are not going to do it. My network's not going to do it. I need to heal myself. So I went on this amazing healing journey. I met the most amazing holistic doctors, and I started to take a lot of herbs and all kind of natural remedies, you could say in that way, supplements and stuff like that. I started to meditate. I started to go on a more spiritual, the inner journey of transformation. And it was slow, but at some point I remember feeling ready again. I remember I felt like I was born, and I knew I was suddenly seeing all the beautiful things in the world, noticing the flowers. I was tasting the food in a different ways. I was connecting with my kids in a different way. I was honestly just enjoying life so much at that time. And I was ready to get into the world. And I was like, now it's now. Now it's now. I'm going to build the business. I'm going to do the thing that I really dream about. I'm going to build that online business. So I started to take courses in marketing. I started to dive into product development. I started to figure out how to attract clients, all of those things, all of the skill sets that you need to actually get ahead of yourself, right? But no matter how hard I tried, I kept on failing. Like, the business didn't take off. I remember having something I felt was a great idea, and starting to share on Instagram, starting to share on Facebook. I think Facebook and Instagram was like the main places I started to share, but nothing happened. I even made a website, Nothing happened. Nothing happened. No customers, nobody bought. And when I look back, this is what I teach now, right? When I look back, I understand why it didn't work. But at that time, I was like, why is this not working? I'm ready. I did all the work. I had a burnout, I healed myself. I'm ready for the world. I'm ready to be seen. I'm ready to share. I even post on Instagram every day. I post on Facebook every day. Why is it not working? And at that point, I was feeling actually ashamed. I was like, damn, I have quit my job. I've been through like a massive healing journey. I study part-time to learn all of these skills about, the transformational, the transformational journey of change. Why is this not working? I honestly felt so bad. And I felt like I'm failing being me. I'm failing to make this dream a reality. And I did all the things, I thought I did all the things right. But the thing is, I don't know if maybe you are where you feel like I do all the things right, nothing is working. And at some point when you have a breakthrough, you look back and you're like, oh, well, you don't know what you don't know, right? So at that time, when I look back, I can see, of course, it didn't work out because I didn't have any kind of direction in my marketing. My product wasn't positioned in a way so it was magnetic and valuable. I didn't even know who my dream client, who my soul aligned client was. So all of this foundational work I didn't have, and then I didn't understand why is nobody liking my post, why is nobody contacting me? But I lacked the skills. Also, I lacked the confidence, and also I lacked the power of actually being able to create. So I was like a mouse sitting in my mouse house, looking out, throwing out some beetles and hoping someone would take them. I wasn't out there. I didn't create the foundation for success in a business. And at that point, of course, I couldn't see that. But that's the reality of things, right? So can you imagine how relieved I was when I found out I was pregnant? I'm just keeping it real here. But when I found out I was pregnant with child number 3, this is in 2013. I was so relieved, honestly. I was like, oh, thank God. Now I can be a mom again, to a baby, I can be on maternity leave and I can have some time to figure out what to do, And it didn't take long, maybe a month or something. My husband came to me and he was like, I just got a new job offer in Germany. And at that point, we lived in Denmark. We born and raised in Denmark. And this meant that we could move to a new country. And it was a big dream for both of us. Like the day we met, I remember us talking about, maybe within the first week of dating, we talked about how it was our big dream to actually live abroad. So I was like, I felt, wow, this is a synchronicity. This is definitely something we need to do. This is something calling for us. So I had like zero doubt in my heart, and neither did my husband. And he said yes. And I think this was in March, maybe February, March. And in June, we moved to Germany. And we were set on this adventure. Like we were really excited. We were really feeling, wow, we're going on this adventure, this life adventure, this thing we had been dreaming about for such a long time. And well, sometimes destiny has things stored for you, right? And I was, I think, 8 months pregnant when we actually moved into our new house in August, maybe 7 months, was it July? I don't remember. July, August 2013, I was very pregnant. And everything was just working out, everything was just, oh my God, this big dream is coming true. We're finally having child number 3, and we wanted that so much. I actually been through a few abortions in the meantime because my body wasn't ready, right? So we were like, oh my God, it's finally happening. I'm 7 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant. We're moving into this gorgeous house in a new city. My husband loves Germany, like he loves Germany. So everything was just lined up. And I was like, yes, now I go on maternity leave and I figure out this business thing. I figure it out, find someone who can help me, and I figure it out. And when I'm done being on a maternity leave, I'm going to build my business. At this time, I was actually on a leave from my studies as well, because in Denmark, you can be on maternity leave for your studies. I was like, okay, then I can study long distance and I can build my business, be a mom here. It's going to be great. Gonna be great. But as I said, life sometimes have some interesting turns, right? And Luna, she's our third child. She's born the 3rd of September in a German hospital in Düsseldorf. And I remember it was an easy birth, actually. It was really nice. It was a very, very, I want to say, everything just felt right. Do you know that? Of course, births are not, it's not like, walking apart, grab a cup of tea. It's chaotic, it's messy, but it was amazing. It was, chill. Everything went the way it was supposed to do. I felt safe. My body knew what it had to do. I had 2 kids before that and stuff like that. We were there together and it was all good. And I remember when she was born, we actually, it's a funny story though. We were actually in a bathtub in a bathroom because I wanted to give birth in water, but the room with the tub for giving birth in was occupied. So I was laying in water in a bathtub in a bathroom at a German hospital. They put lavender in the water. It was nice and warm, smelled amazing. But at some point I was like, okay, it's now. And when I got up, she wanted to be born. That was how it is. So she's born in a bathroom in a German hospital. And that's kind of the story of Luna's birth, right? But we were transported into another room where we could relax, where we could get some sleep. This was in the night. And where we could just kind of settle in and getting ourselves ready to go home. So I know it's really different from country to country what the traditions and the procedures are when you're giving birth. But in Denmark, when you give birth, the first child you can stay at the hospital for a few days. The second child you get home immediately, and the third and so on. You get home immediately. So we wanted to get home immediately because that was kind of what we did. I know how to breastfeed; it's not a problem. We just wanted to get home. So we went home. Luna, she had like all the checks and all the things, and we got home. And I was like, I remember this is a Tuesday, and Wednesday I was like, she's very yellow. Children doesn't usually look that yellow. So we went to the doctor, and he was like, oh no, this is normal. It's you just need to breastfeed her a little more and lay her out in the sun. It was September and amazing weather. And if she's not less yellow, we're going to take her to the hospital and give her some light. It's completely fine. Everything's fine. And Thursday, we went to the doctor again to get like the real checkup. And he looked at her and he was like, oh, cute. She's so yellow. You know what? Let's just keep an eye on her, keep on breastfeeding her, keep on putting her in the sun, all that good stuff. It's going to be fine. And then come tomorrow morning, Friday at 9 o'clock. I remember this very, very precisely. Come 9 o'clock. If it's not any better, We're going to do some blood samples and we're going to send her to the hospital. Don't worry. She's going to be there in 24 hours. Get some light. It's going to be fine. And we were like, oh, okay. Well, it's good. It's all good. And we went home. And that night I had the worst nightmare. The night from Thursday to Friday. The worst nightmare ever. I can't recall the exact details, but it was a warning. Inside of me, I felt something was so wrong. Like my intuition was like, alert, 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 Friday morning, she just wouldn't stop crying. And she was just crying and screaming. And I remember she was stiff, like really stiff and rotating in a very, very strange way. And my mom was there. She came from Denmark to be there with us. And I remember giving Luna to my mom, and I was like, can you please see if you can make her stop crying? Because I can't. And she was like, I can't. She keeps on turning and tossing. I don't know what's wrong. And I was like, oh, well, anyways, we're going to the doctor now, so we'll see. And when we came to the doctor, they took one look at her. And then the doctor, it was a woman, her face just went pale. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And remember, at this point, I couldn't speak any German. Like, I couldn't. She goes out of the room, and then she comes back in with another doctor. And when he looks at her, his face goes completely pale. And I'm like, I look at Sten, my husband, I'm like, something is very, very wrong. I said to him in Danish, right? And I remember looking at him, and I couldn't see that at that moment, but when I look back and remember it, I'm like recalling that moment. He was in shock because he just said to me, no, it's fine. And I was like, it's not fine. Something is very wrong. I can feel it. And then the doctor, she says to me, we're going to take her to the hospital. We're going to call for an ambulance. When they get here, you have to go into it immediately. And I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, there's something we need to check, but I think she's poisoned. And I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, I don't know at this moment, but you need to go to the hospital very fast. And from here, things are kind of blurry, but I remember sitting in the ambulance, and we were going 180 kilometers per hour, not miles, through the city. And I was like, this is so bad. And Sten, my husband, he was supposed to follow us. So he jumped into the car, got a ticket, just followed us to the hospital. And when we got there, the doctors took her and they disappeared into a room. They said to us, you have to wait here. And we was just sitting there waiting, and then another doctor came. And again, remember, I can't speak German at this point. And she was just like, I need your blood. And I remember being so tired and so overwhelmed. And then I said to her, can it please wait? Because I'm really tired. And she was like looking at me, with these eyes where you kind of understand this can't wait. And she was like, I need it now for your daughter. And I was like, fuck. So I was sitting there in a waiting room. She was grabbing all of her needles and stuff and drawing blood. And I remember at some point, I don't even know how long time this took. We came back to the room, and she was just laying there with these strong lights on, completely naked. And they said to us, she's having... she has a lot of antibodies in her blood because you are negative blood type and she is positive blood types, and for some reason you are, I don't even know what it's called, but for some reason your blood is poisoning her blood. And I know a lot of people said to me, this is something that can happen, and I know it can happen because we talked to our doctor about it. At this point, we didn't know that at the hospital they actually didn't do the tests that ensured that this couldn't happen, because something like this shouldn't be able to happen, but it happened, One blood sample and she would be okay today, but she isn't, So it happened, even though it's not supposed to be able to happen. And that has been mind-boggling me. So many things went wrong that could easily have been fixed. But it's like one blood sample at the hospital, one blood sample at the doctor, one blood sample more at the doctor, and we wouldn't be in that situation. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So one way or the other, I'm like, destiny is funny sometimes, right? Sometimes you don't know what the soul wants to experience, and you don't know the contracts that you have going on. You don't know what's going to shape you. And something that feels so crazy, like an accident, like Luna's, can sometimes turn out to be what actually gives you the most rich and, I want to say satisfied life, because it gets so raw and it gets so real when you look at a child and the doctor is looking in your eyes and say, we don't know if she's going to survive this. So at this point, they told us we need to change her blood. So we need to pull her blood out and put new blood into her. And I was like, you know what, just do whatever it takes. Just do whatever it takes for her to be well again. I remember the doctor, he was looking at me and he didn't say anything. But do you know when somebody's looking at you and they look and you can see you're not telling the whole truth, but you're not doing it because you don't want to, you're doing it because it's not the right thing to do right now. So at this point, all we were thinking about was she just needs to survive. She just needs to survive this. And we were at the hospital, in the NICU for 2 weeks, I think. And in that time period, she woke up a little more. She started to breastfeed again. She was more and more alive and awake, but also she started to have some seizures that, when she was breastfeeding, when she was sleeping, she was just suddenly stopped breathing. So she had some seizures, and the doctor said that it was her brain waves going crazy after the medication, and we had to give her medicine. So we did, and we took her home without the seizures, but with this very, very toxic medicine. But it helped her keep her alive, right? Obviously, at that point, we felt like just free diving into space. And we were in shock. We were so much in shock. And at the same time, I had this fire inside me. I just remember feeling, you know what? We can fix this. We can make the impossible possible. And you know that when you are faced with something really difficult, you find a strength that you just didn't even know that you had. And I remember when we went to the hospital again for a checkup, she had to get like a full-blown CT scan of her brain because the toxin had created a damage in her brain. And they told us that she had a brain damage and she lost her hearing completely. They told us, you are lucky she's alive. She's not supposed to be alive. Nobody have ever managed to survive the levels of toxins that she managed to survive from. So we were like, at the same time, in shock. What are we going to do? We have a brain damaged child. She's brain damaged from an accident. And at the same time, we're really grateful that she's even alive, We went home with that message, and also with the message that you have to accept this is a multi-handicapped child you're looking at. We don't know how things are going to go, but this is what you're looking at. And I was like, you know what? I healed myself from a burnout. I quit my job. I started to follow my dream, and I'm not going to let this accident define my life. I'm not going to go down. I'm not going to be the one to stop contributing. I'm not going to be the one who's going to start falling apart because of this. This is going to be the thing that makes me strong. This is going to be the thing that rekindle that strength within me. We're going to make the impossible possible. We're going to reverse her brain damage. And with that determination in my heart, this was my most important project of my life. Because I read stories about families falling apart. I read stories about other children being neglected. And I understand why, to be honest. I understand what it took for us to reverse her brain damage, what it took for us to keep our family together, to thrive as a family, what it took for us to have number 4 was immense. We had to transform generations of wounds. We have to transform generations of patterns. We had to transform generation of our own restrictions and our own mindsets. We had to transform so much to make that happen. And even though today I'm looking at Luna, she's 11 today, and she is thriving. She has a handicap. She can't hear. She's having she have cochlear implants, hearing aids. She's doing great. Other than that, she's small. She can't walk that well, but she managed, She has friends. She's going to a normal school, fully integrated. She has an amazing life. She's been with us in the Eiffel Tower. She's been with us on the canals in Amsterdam. She's been walking the vineyards in France. She's been with us in Italy, paddling on lakes. She's been with us on the sea in speedboats. Like, she's experienced so many things, and we have never stopped fulfilling our dreams because of her. We always made it work. We always found a solution. We have always been in the business of making impossible things possible. So just scrolling back to where we as a family decided that we wanted to reverse her brain damage, and starting to have that mindset of making impossible things possible, not listening to people saying it can't be done. We found experts, we found therapists, we found holistic doctors, we found, natural remedies, medicine from Mother Earth to give to her. And I spent the next six years training her, rehabilitating her, healing her and myself, and the entire family at the same time. So at that point, I was training Luna. I was building my business part-time. I didn't go back to my studies because it just wasn't an opportunity. And then I got pregnant again. We always wanted 4 kids. I don't know why. It was just like I felt it, and Steen, my husband, felt it also. So when we got pregnant again, we were looking at each other and we were like, oh my God, is this a good idea? Can we handle a child more? And it was so natural for us because we had just really rewired our mindsets and energies, right? So it was so natural for us to say yes, to be completely in alignment and we can do this. She's gonna have an amazing sister or brother, and our family is going to be complete. So I got pregnant and we had our 4th child in 2016. And when she was born, I went into an old pattern of hustling and working hard again. So the whole thing about, being unstoppable, diving into your own power, having like the strength and having the tenacity to actually transform things and make impossible things possible is amazing and great. But also at some point you can't keep on doing and doing and doing and doing. And at this point in my life, I was like, oh my God, I feel on the edge of burnout one more time. I'm doing all the things again. I am trying to be a mom of 4, trying to build a business, and also reversing a brain damage of a child. Living abroad without family, without friends, without a network. And I had to look at myself one more time. Luckily for me, I have been through burnout, accident with my child, so I caught this one really fast. And I was like, okay, I'm open. Show me what I need to do. And then, believe it or not, one of my friends, she texted me and she said, oh my God, I just learned about this amazing new thing called human design. And immediately I felt within me a click. I was like, what are you saying? Can I see that? And then I just deep dove into human design. I was like, this is a key for me. Did you know that when you get that feeling, it's not rational. It's not like, it doesn't make any sense, but you can feel it inside. Like, this is a key for me. So I deep dove into human design and I found out that I'm a projector. I'm not only a projector, but I'm a splenic projector, and I have like tons of centers open, meaning I'm really great at directing energy, but I am not designed to do all the things all the time. It was a major shift for me because suddenly I understood that the way I had been getting results, the way I had been making things possible was actually doing things all the time instead of being true to my own energetic blueprint. So this insight helped me completely reshape one more time how I showed up in the world, how I use my energy, how I use my talent and my strengths. And the funny thing is, where brute force, hustle and hard work definitely helped me. It helped me transform Luna's brain. It helped me keep my family together. It helped me go through a lot of challenges. When we got Nola, our 4th kid, I was like, not doing this anymore because I'm going to burn out. I can feel it. So I shifted everything. I started to embody, what does it mean for me to be a projector? What does it mean for me to not be designed to do all the things? What does it mean for me to direct energy instead of being the one doing? And completely reshape my business. And the funny thing is, it completely took off. I went from struggling, honestly, not making enough money, to multiple 6 figures in 2 years. It was like everything was just aligning up. It was like the moment I understood, who am I? What is my strength? What am I here to do? I got direction, and I was very specific in prioritizing what to do and what not to do. And even though it was like a very internal process, the embodiment of human design is very much about reflection, contemplating, and taking, making small changes to keep on aligning yourself with your energetic blueprint, aligning your decisions with your intuition, and aligning your message with your strengths. So even though it was a lot of course, trial and error, and a lot of embodying my human design and being in life and business in a new ways that I didn't know how to do, it paid off immediately. And that was so interesting for me. And I honestly haven't looked back. I still run my business as a projector. I still make sure that my message is aligned to my strength. I still make sure that I use my energetic blueprint in a way that's correct for me. And I still make sure that my decision-making process is aligned with my intuition and, of course, my energetic blueprint as well. I mean, building a business and making your dreams a reality is not about struggle. It's not about working hard. It's not about being in the hamster wheel, feeling frustrated, feeling out of alignment. It's not about doing all the things at the same time. It's about choosing, and it's about alignment, and it's about priorities, and it's about facilitating the correct environment within you, the strength within you. You know, breaking the patterns, rewiring your mindset, mastering your thoughts and your feelings, and being completely unstoppable. And that is a learnable skill. Now, I had to learn it the hard way. I had to learn it by going through struggles and heartbreak, but you honestly don't have to. I feel there's a reason why I had to go through all of this. And even though I would wish for Luna not to have been going through all of these things, but at the same time, I also understand the gift that it gave all of us. So you don't have to go through all of this. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to be overwhelmed. You don't have to be frustrated and fail again and again. But what you do have to is work on you. You do have to rearrange your mindset. You do have to transform your energy. You have to create a business and a business strategy that actually takes you where you want to go. So instead of trying to do it all, choose where you want to go and create a strategy that takes you to that place. And if you take anything away from my journey, let it be that challenges are actually opportunities to turn pain into gold. And success is not about doing more. It's about aligning with your energetic blueprint. And also, your inner voice, your intuition, that's the one's going to help you guide you on the path that you're supposed to be on. I think this is going to be my soulful secret for you in this podcast episode. And that is that even though we want success to be a linear thing, it's not. Life is going to shape you, and life is going to help you grow in ways that you cannot escape. So things that feels like struggle, things that feels like a huge challenge, things that feels like completely soul-wrecking, life-changing events are here for you. It's for you. It's not something that's here to hurt you. It's something that's here to shape you. Something that's here to give you strength. It's something that's here to pull your potential and your strength out of you so you can do the things you're supposed to do. Nothing in this life, I believe, happens because it wants to hurt us. It wants to make us stronger, right? So that's kind of my soulful secret for you. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode, and thank you so much for being here. And thank you for being part of the Blue Sofa. I hope my story touches your heart, but also maybe sparked a little inspiration for your own journey. Because at the end of the day, you know, challenges and heartbreak is not the end. It's the beginning of something new. And I feel that when you understand that and you start aligning your business to your true essence, your strength, your talents, and you start trusting your intuition, then I know that you can create the business that you really want and also shape a life in a way that really feels amazing for you. So next week, we're going to start the Soulful Growth series that's going to be all about my 3 pillars for soulful growth. And I hope you will listen to that too, because it's going to be more hands-on examples and what to do to actually grow your business and contribute with who you are and your soul's mission. If this episode resonates with you, if you loved it, then I would love for you to subscribe, maybe leave a review and share this episode with a fellow entrepreneur. Thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next episode.